standard. Not much to talk about here, but we could always talk about the map. Romanticide, very interesting. We've got that mineral wall, meaning that the natural and the third base is kind of like locked in from like two angles of attack, either the ramp in between both bases, which is easily defended, or right around the side in this narrow choke point.
Yeah, we'll see because again, there are some pretty aggressive tank pushes that come out from here,
Oh yeah.
protected by those minerals, and especially if you're a Zerg player, like you typically have very limited range, so you kind of have to go for a surround and make sure you actually. But like typically, like the tanks are protected by Marine, so it can be quite difficult to deal with.
Yeah, this map is certainly interesting for Terran, as those minerals can be abused by siege tanks quite easily. But, well, not but, and at the same time, Zerg kind of struggles when there's like these few like angles of entry or angles of movement.
Mhm.
Because you kind of want those big open spaces to get those surrounds, but when there's these tight angles, it's very difficult to get a very Lingbane heavy army.
Yeah, like especially here in the center of the map, like there are rocks all over the place. Like this is not like open whatsoever. So yeah, it can be a little bit difficult to get those perfect surrounds, those good engagements. But again, we'll see. Like maybe a couple of people in the chat can help us out. Wanted, he did just go up against Time, and I'm really curious as to what Wanted's style is. Like, is he a Muta player? Is he a like Hydra Lurker player? Like, what does he go for in this matchup?
Yeah, it's definitely a good question to ask because neither of us know anything about this player.
Yeah, we shall see. And when it comes to XY, I mean, typically from what I've seen, he does prefer or he does favor the bio style. And I hope he sticks with that. I hope we don't see some mech coming out from him.
Yeah, no, seeing just like a standard bio tank style coming out from XY is what everybody wants to see. It's his thing. He's very good with it. And on a map like this, it can do quite well.
Yeah, and I mean, on a map like this, we talk about this a lot. Like, Romanticide is kind of the new Eternal Empire. It's large, it kind of favors the longer macro games, and we already see that with this opening. We saw the third CC for XY was thrown down before the starport was even started, so, he is going for a more economic opener.
Yeah, the quick third opening from the Terran, usually a sign of greed, but, an interesting building being thrown down right now, Light.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. As we do see the fusion core is being thrown down, the tech lab as well. It was an interesting build order because typically we see the tech lab being made on the racks and then we see the switch happen, but yeah, none of that here.
Yeah, and it doesn't even get spotted. Good
Ooh.
defense against the Ovi.
Yeah, nicely done. Meanwhile, I'm a little bit concerned. Are you experiencing some in-game lag?
I have 500 ping, Light.
Oh boy.
This is what I get for living in New Zealand. Oh boy.
I also have around 400 pings, so hopefully. Yeah, it's not ideal. It's not the worst. It's not like we're spiking up to like 1K. It could be a server issue if this is happening to both of us. But yeah.
Yeah, because I was at 300-ish earlier, and that was, that seems about correct. But
Yeah.
now it's gone up to 500. Seems a little bit weird.
Yeah, same. So, yeah. I mean, if this does affect the players, like they would take note of it, they would call for a pause, and we would deal with this. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things progress here.
Yeah, hopefully this doesn't go on for too long and it doesn't affect the players too badly. We wouldn't want our casting to affect the players' gameplay because, after all, in the end, it's about the game.
Yeah, it's about the game, it's about the players, and oh my god, we were talking about it. This is a 1-1-1 into a BC with a mech follow-up.
Yeah, this is the 1-3-1 BC opening that we saw so often in late 2019.
Oh boy.
And going for the Hellion style more,
yeah,
so.
And it's not been scouted. The armory, once it finishes up, all these Hellions, they can turn into Hellbats and push with the BC.
Yeah, and that's going to be absolutely deadly against the Ling Bane composition. The Baneling's waddling up, going to get picked off real quick, and the BC is here. There's only 4 queens to defend, though, and a handful of Ling Bane, and I don't know if this is going to be very good here, as the Hellbats have transformed, and those queens are just melting like.
Exactly, and again, you need Banelings to help deal with this, and we do have a couple more Banelings being morphed in from Wanted. We'll see how good the splits are with these Hellbats. We'll see how much more damage can be done.
Yeah, he's already got them split up to deal with different sides, and all of those Banes instantly flamed down by the Hellbats. The BC taking a little bit of damage as more queens have come out, but those Hellbats still alive. They're gonna keep roasting some drones light.
Oh god, they're chasing the drones, but it looks like the Hellbats are going to be dealt with. And you know what? All in all, Wanted, he held well.
He did hold quite well. He only lost like Ling Bane and like a couple of queens, and that's not the most expensive thing in the world. Queens are just free Hydralisks.
Yeah. I'm so impressed, especially because the initial wave of Banelings didn't get any damage done. They were just kited away by the Hellions. But because of the amount of queens, like he was good.
Yeah, he managed to pump out just enough queens right on time for the defense. He started out with 4 and he ended up with like 6 or 7. That's just about what you want for defending a BC.
Yeah, definitely. And he was even able to move forward his Spore as well to help zone away the BC. That was nicely done. And he was able to hold, he expands. And what's interesting is, I appreciate this. I haven't seen this in a while. We've got some Ferrari mech.
Yeah, we got the Hell Clone coming up. That should be exciting to watch. But as we were saying, Wanted defended that quite well, and there's a reason people don't go this 1-3-1 style as much anymore with the BC. Like, he's getting more BCs, and we don't really see this style that often because Zerg's figured out how to defend it.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, if Artosis was here, he says this whenever it happens in GSL. He's like, I don't like these Hellbat pushes. Like, initially when they were first coming out, like, it was very difficult for the Zergs to hold because they had no idea. They like, it was their initial first time seeing it. But nowadays, it has kind of been figured out, and we saw, like, Wanted, even with not the best, like, Baning connections, he was able to hold.
Yeah, it's one of those like meta cycle sort of things. Like, people come up with something new, it's really deadly for a while, and it's all anyone plays. But because it's all anyone plays, people figure it out.
Yeah. I would attribute that, like, similarly, Glaive Adepts in PvZ.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen so much of it, and now it's gotten to the point where, like, DRG, like, he defended it well, and now, like, his guide is all over the place, and, like, it's, you know, everyone knows.
Yeah, it's not as in favor as the Corruptors are out. He slapped down the Spire real quick when he saw those Hellbats.
Oh boy, we'll see. We have like Corruptors out. We have that transition into Roaches. I love it. He isn't being stubborn. He isn't sticking to the Ling Bane. He's getting out of that. And okay, he looks like he's trying to find some damage here with the Corruptors.
Yeah, the Corruptors are gonna go pee on a building, and that might do a little bit of good for him. Oops, I did not mean to do that.
Yeah, you know what's great? It looks like it's evened out, and like the ping is fine. Like, we're all good. No more.
I'm still 750.
Oh god. Okay.
Good. My favorite says, oh, hang on, I'm gonna do something real quick.
Meanwhile, we do have the Road Ravager pushing on in, but there is a wall, and there are so many tanks behind that wall. Oh god, XY, he tries to bow them down, but he doesn't. He doesn't get any of the tanks.
Oh, that is not good for this push. Light. That's not a good thing to happen. He's just losing units for free, and he's got this blue flame Hellion run by in the 4th base, losing a few drones, not an insignificant amount.
Yeah, 7 drones end up going down, so a nice run by. So XY, he was able to defend beautifully, didn't lose anything, was able to harass at the same time, and now XY, he's getting quite a scary force.
Yeah, and that's not something you want to mess with, you know, Thors and Siege Tanks and Hellbats and Cyclones. It's not an easy thing for a Zerg to deal with, especially at this point in the game.
And earlier I was talking about Wanted, and like what's his ideal army composition in this matchup, and I was really curious because now he's actually switching to Hydras. He's got an Infestation Pit, so it looks like he wants to get Lurkers out as well. Yeah,
he might be looking for that Lurker Viper comp to deal with these tanks and these Thors, and we'll see how he does with that, if that is his option going into this.
Yeah, because like there are a couple of different avenues. You can go Hydra Lurker Viper against the mech, or you can try and incorporate Swarm Hosts. If you're Demi, or if you're like a Southeast Asian Zerg player, you just go Mass Muta and you kind of brute force it, which is insane that they're able to make that work. But yeah,
if you've got the control and the multitasking for it, Mutas can still do well even against mech if you have enough of them.
Yeah, definitely, but we don't see any of that. Instead, we have plenty of Corruptors, plenty of Queens as well, able to defend against the BCs, push them away without dealing too much damage.
Yeah, they don't get too much damage, and it seems that he has stopped at the 3 BCs here. As a Lurker Den being thrown down. Looks like we're going into that Lurker Viper style.
Yeah, and we'll see how this works because it's kind of like this dance where you need to use the Vipers to either yoink or blinding cloud, but they have to try and avoid the Thors because the Thors can also focus them down as well.
Hmm.
I think what's good
Yeah,
is
with
that
the sky shots.
yeah, and so far XY, I don't believe he's sussed this out. He has seen the Hydra Dents, that could be a tell.
Yeah, that could be an indication. The light. I just realized another thing he could do with the infestation pit. He is getting the vipers, but there's also a possibility that he could switch into those infestors to deal with the Thors. Infestors, the neural parasite, very good with Thors.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, we'll see if he decides to dip into that a little bit.
We shall see, as he's got 5 Vipers, 3 in production, 2 done, but they need a little bit of time to get energy, and it looks like XY, he doesn't want to give him that time as he leapfrogs across the map with all these tanks.
Yeah, he's already got, what is that, 8 tanks out on the map, 2 more on the way. He's got a 2 Thors, a handful of Hellbats in the front, and he's slowly crawling his way up with this mech composition that is oh so deadly this late into the game. And this is going to be a very painful siege for Wanted to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. We do see all the Vipers are desperately trying to suck up the buildings. Hopefully they don't kill the Evo Chamber that's actually getting an upgrade, but we do have a couple of yoinks.
Yeah, that siege tank right in the front with a good yoink, gonna be able to get cleaned up here.
He denies his own upgrade.
Oh no, he denied +3.
Oh,
That's
no.
good.
Yeah, it was like halfway done as well, and now the Vipers are coming forward, but they're getting focused down.
Yeah, they're getting focused down, and Yamato takes out one, and they get focused down by the Thors and taken out. There's nothing left but Corruptors and a handful of Hydralisks. Like, this is not looking too good, as all of Wanted supplies in production.
Exactly, and too much supply were in those Vipers. He had initially 5, he made 4 extra Vipers, and don't have enough energy. They're all going down.
GG's called. Wanted taps out of the game. XY will go up 1 in this series with the 3 BC mech.
Wow, and we'll see if he's able to close this out in game 2 after this break.
And we are back with DreamHack China Group A, the elimination match between XY and Wanted. It's game 2 on Death Aura Light. How we feeling?
I don't know. Like again, Wanted, it felt like he held the initial push incredibly well, but afterwards it felt like he fell apart a little bit. Like he was trying to go for these counterattacks, it didn't deal damage. I like the idea of the army composition, but it took a long time to get there because he had to take into roaches and then into those corruptors as well, right? When really theoretically you could skip the spire and go straight into hydras, so then you can more easily transition into lurkers, right?
Yeah, it seemed like he knew how to handle an initial push like that with the the BC and the Hellbats, but he wasn't sure how to follow up with the army composition and really how to prevent the meching army from getting up to the strength that it did. But regardless of that, Light, we're into game 2 and we're here on Death Aura LE, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner in the blue. Playing for Team LP, we have Wanted.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Death Aura LE, we have the Chinese Terran player, the Red Terran, representing Invictus Gaming and currently up 1-0 in this best of 3. Can he bring it home? It is XY.
Hashtag XY fans.
Oh god, the best fans.
True, agreed.
I was actually checking and he actually has that like in all 3 regions. It's they're all over the place.
That's pretty good. The XY fans everywhere. It started with TY and it ended with the entire world.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful and
it's very good. Start out TY time.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here in this series on Death Aura. I have seen Mac on this before. I'm curious if XY, if he goes for kind of the same thing or if he has more things up his sleeve in this matchup.
It doesn't feel like XY to go mech 2 games in a row. Does it, Light?
I wouldn't think so, right? But
yeah, it doesn't, XY is known as a bio player.
Yeah, definitely. Like when I think of XY, like I kind of associate him with like the play styles of like TY or Time as well. And yeah, and I don't think of him like as an incredibly aggressive player like Coffee, you know, like an incredibly like cheesy player, you know.
He plays the macro bio style, you know. He plays the drops the map control. He techs up, you know, he gets all of his upgrades and all that. He does a ton of damage, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens here. If he goes for that 1-1-1 again, if he goes for a faster third CC, if he goes for BCs. Again, like Terran, they've got a lot of options here.
They certainly do, and on this map, a lot of things are possible. Like you could go for a super tank heavy composition, and well, it's very dangerous for a Zerg with the map layout, especially if you can get into the right spots. Ooh, sweeper.
Oh, getting kind of close there. Almost went down, but XY, he ends up saving it in the end. Is not able to delay that third base though, as the hatchery does go down.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going for the fast third again.
Ooh, okay. So far it looks like the same opening. We'll see if he decides to go for a BC again, as we do have the hidden starport.
Yeah, he's putting at the back of the base, not in line with his other buildings. He's showing the greed and hiding the starport, which could indicate a very similar thing to last game.
Yeah, again, I'm really curious when it comes to this opening because like he's one who doesn't get the tech lab on the racks. Like he does delay the inevitable BC a little bit. So yeah, we'll see if he ends up doing that again, if he throws down that armory for the same Hellbat push, and oh boy.
Yeah, he's doing it again.
Okay.
I mean, hey, if it worked once.
True. The thing is, when that game opened up, the Hellbat push didn't really do too much damage. But we were talking about the map earlier. Like, Romanticide, it's a much larger map. It's a much longer map. Here on Death Aura, mate, we've got speed zones, you know? You can zoom across the map.
Speedy zones. It's not the longest rush distance. It's still a pretty big map, but it's not. The speed zones make the rush distance shorter than it seems. Ooh, looking to get a little bit of scouting, but the queen's doing the queen thing, pushing him back.
Yeah, and it's important to note as well that when it came to Romanticide, the third base was kind of protected because it was on the high ground. This time it's on the low ground, so it could be a little bit harder to defend as well. So, yeah, this could go a little bit more in XY's favor.
Yeah, as he's already running in with the 2 Hellions. Ooh,
Oh.
good nade. A little bit of status damage. He's gonna be able to take out both Hellions. So that's 2 Hellions down for the Hellbat push.
Yeah, that's actually really nice. And we'll see if there is going to be a Hellbat push because we do have the BC on the way. We have to keep an eye on that production tab to see if an armory gets started. As we have Stim starting up instead.
Yeah, this could be the 1-1-1 into just bio with that with the BC, which is not as common as the 1-3-1.
Yeah, like we have seen mech become a really popular transition out of this BC beginnings, and sure we have the army on the way, and I'm curious like whether this is a fake out. Like is he going for Stim just in case there's an Overlord scout, or is he actually going to commit to bio?
Yeah, we will have to see as Wanted going for the Spire. Yeah, he's getting more barracks.
There we go. Yeah, this is the XY I know.
Yeah. Gets the 3 racks, he starts pumping out Marines. And Wanted going for the blind meters, which is seems fair.
Yeah, we do already have the BC teleporting across the map, and it's actually dealing a decent amount of damage.
Yeah, it's gotten way more drones here than it ever should with this many queens. Wanted a little bit of a slow on the response.
Yeah, like as you were saying, like he has so many queens, but they just weren't in position, so 8 drones end up going down.
Yeah, that's not insignificant damage. And Wanted's gonna have to make that up with his Spire on the way. Definitely seems to have the feeling that XY is going into the buy, and this Overlord or Overseer should confirm it. As he continues ramping up his bases, getting a macro hatch and another base. Kind of standard Zerg things.
Yeah. So this is great. Like he already had Ling Speed on the way, so he's already going to have Ling Bane ready and waiting. He has the Spire to go straight into Ling Bane Muta, and he even gets a macro hatch.
Yeah. The macro hatch going to be pumping out that Ling Bane. Macro hatch. I'm a big fan of the macro hatch, honestly. I don't think enough people do it like early on.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's something that you desperately need, especially when it comes to Ling Bane in general, right? Like you need so much lava to make that work.
Yeah, and macro hatch is gonna help with that. I do like this thing where I go double macro hatch, which is extremely greedy, but I also have trouble spending my resources because I'm not a good player. So
it's like
button go brr.
Yeah, it's like I need to do this because I keep missing my injects. It's like it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes up for it.
Definitely. So we'll see, because Wanted, honestly, like his creep spread is not too bad. Like he had plenty of queens to begin with. He's covering all of his bases. He's getting some static defense. His upgrades are a little bit late because he rushed out his Spire, but they are still on the way.
Yeah, and that will help the bio ready to defend against the mutas. The mutas come in looking for some SCV damage. They will pick off a few. You might get a tank. Very nice. Does get a tank, and he's just gonna straight up ignore the BC and go for more tanks.
Oh my god, nice. 2 tanks go down, as well as these 7 SCVs, 8 SCVs delaying the 4th base.
And he loses like what, 1 muta?
Literally, what? Only 1 muta went down.
Oh my goodness. Wanted showing off the muta control right now. Very nice. I guess we know what kind of player he tends to, what type of a style he tends to prefer.
Yeah, definitely, as the mutas are still dealing more damage. Meanwhile, there was a Widowmine drop in the main base. 6 drones went down, but only 6. That pales in comparison to the 16, 17 SCVs that have gone down.
The mutas are still getting damage across the map, and this is very well played from Wanted, making good moves with the mutas. And making them worth the money.
Yeah, definitely, because again, only 3 mutas have gone down to 18 SCVs, as well as, don't forget, those 2 tanks. To be fair, XY was able to deal a little bit of damage with these Widowmines, but they should be cleaned up, like they should be dealt with. Oh, another drop.
Yeah, another drop, gonna get another 7 drones. Pretty good. Wanted a bit slow on the responses, but to be fair, he's also dealing with creep spread, macro cycles, and the mutas, so,
Yeah. And in the end, I do think it's worth it because the creep spread, he's already almost at the bases of XY. It's creeped up quite well, and now XY, he's going for the push, but he's going to be slowed down by these mutas.
Yeah, the muta's going to be very annoying here. Opting for the Hellbats to follow up with this. And the Widowmine style over the tank style. Very much that classic MMM, as they say. All these mutas just getting even more damage. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god, and we'll see XY. He does not turn around. He's going to rely on his reinforcements to deal with it. It looks like he will, but there's Ling Bane ready and waiting for the army.
Yeah, Wanted has just been making so much value out of his mutas. It's done so much damage, but he's only lost 3 mutas, and he's got 16 on the map. Like,
yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Oh my god, it's so important that the tanks were taken out earlier because there were only 2 Widowmines to help reinforce this army.
Yeah. Oh, those mutas getting so much value picking up those tanks as he comes in for the surround. He's gonna catch out all these Marines. That's really good for Wanted.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, the BC was attacking the bases of Wanted, and sure, 11 drones went down, but again, like XY, he is still very much so behind in that worker count. He lost a bunch of army as well, and Wanted, he's got his side of the map.
Yeah, he's found his comfort zone, not having to deal with the BC mech and just, you know, fighting the buy with the classic matchup. This is the purest of essences when it comes to StarCraft 2 is Marine Mine Medevac versus Mutiling Bane.
Yeah, like new styles have come and gone, but this has been here since the very beginning, since Wings of Liberty. Yeah. It's beautiful.
It is, and it's always good to watch a good Mutiling Bane player. Like, look at this creep spread light.
Yeah. Like, XY, he's been trying his best to keep it at bay, but, like, regardless, the creep spread has already passed the halfway point. It's already here to, like, stave off the army, and I'm so surprised. Like, still no more tanks. He is committing to Widowmines instead, but I just feel like he just doesn't have enough to really push out confidently.
Yeah, his mine count is really low, and he's spreading them out a lot for defense more so than to reinforce his army. Like, he does have a good medevac count. Ooh, the banelings.
Oh my god, no reaction.
Uh-oh. Thank god he didn't have +2. Because that would have been, if he had waited like another 15 seconds before going in there, all of those were dead.
Yeah, definitely.
One poof.
That would have been it. And I mean, there was a little bit of a loss there. The Widowmine even got taken out, but as you were saying, 2-2 is finishing up. Surprisingly, we have some infestors being mixed in.
Yeah, I imagine his response to the Thor's a little bit of a catch up with these Banes looking for a run by, gonna catch out of.
That was everything. Those were all the mutas.
Oh no.
Oh,
that's why you bring an overseer with your mutas.
That's why you bring an overseer. Like, the big brain play, XY, he had all his Widowmines tucked into the corner, and the mutas went straight for it. They all went down. Like, Wanted, he was a little bit all over the place. He was attacking with his banelings up the front. He had a little bit of a run by to the side, but XY, he's been focusing on his defense, and suddenly he's back into this.
Yeah, that was a really big pickoff because those mutas are going to be hard to replace. They're expensive units, and there's not really much game ending that Wanted can do with just Ling Bane. Though, as I say that, this push here doing a little bit of damage, and the Bane run by on the planetary. He almost kills the planetary too.
Oh yeah, he could have if he sent all his banelings into that planetary. A couple were exploded on those SCVs instead, and Wanted is doing his best to try and deal some damage, but XY, again, he has Widowmines in all these corners waiting for the mutas, and he was able to defend.
Yeah, the defensive mine's doing a lot of work. There's a mine here, a couple of mines here helping out with this side. A little bit of a decent trade there for Terran, though he does lose a little bit. A nice fungal going down onto these medevacs and these Thors. This Ling Bane coming in here trying to catch out the Bio and the Thors. In the end, the pickup's going to be good, but there's still so much Ling Bane here, like, good surround.
Yeah, it looks like there's just enough on the ground for Wanted. Again, that Macro Hatch helping so much with the Ling Bane. What's a little bit concerning, and we'll see if it comes into play, there's nothing that shoots up. All these medevacs are perfectly fine. He hasn't replaced the mutas, he hasn't made corruptors, he doesn't have hydras, he doesn't have anything to do with the medevacs.
Yeah, he's been stuck on Ling Bane ever since he lost all those mutas, and he's been trying to transition out of the mutas and not make any more mutas with the Ultra Den. But not having that like big tech unit to reinforce the Ling Bane for so long, it can cost you.
Yeah, definitely. XY, he hasn't noticed it yet because otherwise he could be going for drops. He could be dropping all over the place and there's just nothing to stop him. Instead, he's still
Yeah.
committing to these big ground battles, so Wanted still has a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, Ultralisk's on the way. He's already got the Cracklings out too, which should be very good against these Thors. As another Ling run by. Good mind placement. Should help defend this. Oh, those Marines do go down.
Yeah, yeah, and what's important is that all those mines, they're at home, they're defending, they're not here to protect the Thors, to protect the Bio.
Oh, that's a big army of queens here to reinforce the Ling Bane. This is like what would happen like 6 minutes in the game, not 14.
Yeah, exactly. He has to be a little bit careful, and what's important is that these queens, they're here not to just reinforce the army, but also to use those transfuses on those ultras.
Yeah, those Ultras and the Vipers to keep them alive because they're so important in this situation. Having those higher tech units that you don't want to be just trading out willy-nilly. As a nice blinding cloud here onto the Thor and the Power Bomb on the medevac. Good Bane connects. And those Thors are all going down as the Ling Bane continues to crush in on the reinforcements. There's only one Liberator here. And the Queens are here to take it out. As the Ling Bane keeps pushing back. It's good Widowmine connection, but in the end, Terran is forced to go home.
Yeah, the Terran is forced to go home. Meanwhile, the Lings, we were talking about the difference earlier, but it looks like the third base did fall. The Lings are getting on top of the production into the main base as well. And at the same time, Wanted, he's counterattacking, taking out the newest base.
Oh, Wanted is all over the map with the Ultralisks, with the Ling Bane, and XY has to tap out of that game. Wanted, bringing the game up even, 1-1.
Wow, he was all over the place. The crease rate is insane. Sure, he lost all his mutas, but he just dealt so much damage. And Jet, we're going to the ace match.
Going to the ace match, like, we'll be right back.
Be right back.
And we're back with DreamHack China Group A, the elimination match on the ace match of XY versus Wanted on Oxide LE Light underscore VIP. How we doing?
I'm excited. I can't wait to see what happens because again, going into this, I'm sure a lot of people were like, "Who is Wanted?" Like, I'm sure XY is just gonna 2-0, and this is gonna be the end of Wanted's run in DreamHack. But we're going to the ace match, and we could enter a situation where XY is gonna be the one eliminated.
Yeah, and that would be crazy to see, like a veteran with the status of XY. Like he's got fans all over the world, you know,
Mhm.
like he's got such stature, and if he goes down here, that before even getting into the playoffs, that would be not a great sight to see. But here we are on Oxide LE. Joining us in the top right-hand corner of the map, the Red Terran playing for Invictus Gaming. It is XY.
And spawning in at the bottom left-hand corner of Oxide LE, we have the Chinese Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Team LP. It's his first time making it to the DreamHack Masters main event. Can he go further? Can he eliminate the veteran? It is Wanted.
Alright, Oxide is certainly a map, as people are well aware. Fun fact, when I first played this map, I could not find the natural.
Yeah.
The minimap is not very descriptive on this map.
I honestly, I do the same thing on this map. For whatever reason, when I load in, I send my drone like north, and it's like, oh wait, and then I send it south.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird map, but it's more weird aesthetically. It's still a very standard map. Like looking at the base layouts and the choke points and such, there are like some interesting like rocks that form like full-on walls in like places, and there's also like really tight chokes with those rocks that Terran can abuse with tanks on the other side of the rocks and such. It's an interesting map in TVZ.
Yeah. As a Zerg player, you have to make sure you're on top of clearing up those rocks as the game progresses, as you expand and take more bases. Otherwise, the Terran can really abuse that, can really utilize the terrain to their advantage. So, yeah, we'll see how this map plays out. Personally, I do struggle a little bit more on this map. But we'll see what happens here with Wanted, and more importantly, we'll see if XY plays mech or bio.
Yeah, we will have to see. And if he goes to the same opening light, my lag got worse. It is now 800 ping.
Jesus Christ. Of course, we are playing on the Chinese server. If you couldn't tell, with all the Chinese characters all over the place, and hopefully the lag isn't too bad. Hopefully we can power through this. Again, it shouldn't be affecting the players. Like, at least I'm not seeing it, on my end. So yeah, it should be okay.
Yeah, it's okay as long as everybody else in the lobby isn't lagging because of me. It should be fine. It's dropped back down to 500. We should be okay for the rest of the series.
Yeah, yes, we should, as we are here in the ace match, and the last thing we would want is for the players to be experiencing some lag. Of course, if they do, we'll call for a pause, we'll wait and sort things out, of course.
Yep, if it comes to it, I can always drop out and cast through Discord, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. We have solutions for these things.
Yeah, we'll make it work.
Yeah. But yeah, talking about the game now, we've got XY going for the same opening again with the fast third into the starport. Once again in the corner.
Yeah, and we have seen this opening become a little bit more popular. Obviously, it's less aggressive than some other openers and some faster 1-1-1s into Banshee or something like that. But yeah, going for the economic opener, it's good. I like it.
Once again with the battle cruiser.
Once again. So the big question is going to be, what's the follow-up? Is he going to go for the armory for a Hellbat push, or is he going to get Stim? That is the big question.
Yeah, we'll have to see how he transitions out of the BC, and we'll have to see if Wanted can deal with the BC a little bit better this game than last game. In the end, it didn't really matter because Wanted was given the space to do what he wanted rather than having to counteract a mech army. But what's a Banshee? That's interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like he's faking it out. He's got
Yeah,
cloak on
he's
the
faking
way.
it. He started cloak as the overload came over. He's canceling it. Yep, he's gonna cancel the banshee. Here comes the battle cruiser.
Nicely done there. So, XY deceiving his opponent at the moment, making it look like he went for a Banshee opener, and we'll see if Wanted falls for that, and as a result, doesn't make enough queens.
Yeah, he's betting on a 4-3 hand, and Wanted's taking the bait, hook, line, and sinker. That was a poker reference.
Nice.
Yeah, I know that game.
I mean, there are a lot of similarities when it comes to poker and StarCraft, especially when it comes to like the game of information and the lack thereof, like 100% information, right?
Yeah, I often compare StarCraft to a mixture of chess and poker because you have the sort of like army positioning and all that of chess, the strategy of chess, with the
Oh god.
lack of information of poker.
Yeah,
With all the
definitely.
faking out and stuff.
Definitely, and that's going to come into play because the army is about to finish up. We have that mech style, we have that Hellbat push, and this time, instead of going for a Baneling Nest, Wanted, he went for double Evos. Like, he doesn't have Banelings ready.
Ooh, he's not gonna have Banes for the Hellbats, and that could be really crucial because those links are not gonna be able to deal with the Hellbats at all.
Exactly, the Baneling Nest only just being thrown down. Wanted, he has realized what is happening. He realized that there is a Hellbat push coming, and he's just not ready for it.
He's not prepared, and this could be the end of it. We will have to see how Wanted defends. He has a good queen count ready, but push should be coming any second now as the BC's on the way across the map. The army's finished up, and the Hellions are gathering up.
I was about to say, like, XY is taking his time. Like, he's kind of maneuvering around the bases with his Hellions, but he hasn't really committed at all with the Hellbats, and as a result, like, the Baneling Nest is about to finish up.
Yeah, he might be able to get out enough Banelings in time, and Wanted also getting the Hydras to deal with the BC as it is coming across the map. The Hellions looking to gather up with the BC for a combined push.
Yeah, like last time, if you remember, XY, he just teleported the BC across the map to meet up with the Hellbats, and he pushed together, as soon as possible. But now he took so much time. It looks like he may be able to deny this space, does force a cancel, but he hasn't done anything else with this.
Yeah, he's not really doing anything. He's just kind of dancing around trying to find a position to push into and not really willing to commit. But this is interesting light. He went for a double army and he's pumping out 2 Thors.
Yeah, and this is kind of what you want if you're going for this kind of style. Like, you want to get that anti-Mutalisk army as soon as possible, get, a couple of Thors mixed in, and yeah, XY, he's playing this very passively. He's just opting to contain his opponent, not really committing to like a big attack.
Yeah, right. As you say that, he's now pushing in to try and catch up these queens. The transfuses are good. The Hellbat transform is here. The Lings come up, and he's just going to turn in on this. Ooh, the Banelings. He's splitting up, and really nice Baneling connects here. For Wanted will take out so many of those Hellbats, and they will get cleaned up by the Lings.
Yeah.
There's nothing but a beast left.
What's important though is I don't know if he accidentally clicked on his hatchery with the Banelings or there just was enough damage. That was a kill. The 4th died.
That's not great for Wanted.
Yeah, that's definitely not ideal. But Wanted, he follows this up with a double expand. So if as long as both hatcheries go up, he should be okay.
Yeah, he can catch up, but this is definitely a very this is definitely one of those ladder Terrans mech styles. He's just pumping out Thors.
Oh god, yeah, that's the big difference. Of course, on Romanticide, he went for Ferrari mech. He went for Hellion Cyclone, which is a more active, more mobile army. But yeah, like XY, he's just going full tank Thor.
Yeah, and he's just gonna be waddling across the map at a slow speed and just dominating everything in the way. These Hellions getting a little bit of drone damage as they try to transfer over to the space. The Hellbats transform, and the Lings are forced to go back, but there are Mutalisks here to deal with the Hellbats, but those Mutalisks aren't going to do much with the rest of the army's Thors.
Exactly. I'm a little bit concerned because we saw the Hydroden was thrown down earlier. I think it was cancelled. No, never mind, it did finish. But we do see Wanted, he's committing, like he's going for the +1 fire attacks. Like he wants to go into mass muta.
Yeah, which may not be the best option. I don't think he's seen the Thors, and now he will as they start firing off their volleys into the air. It's doing the splash damage on the mutas as they try and get on top of this mineral line. Oh, he might be able to get this missile turret before losing too many mutas. No, the repairs are good, and he's going to be able to keep it alive. The Yamato, the follow-up.
Yeah, and this is disgusting. This is full Piglet style, where we've just got mass Thors, we've got Widowmines on the way as well. Like, this is relatively weak to like Ling Hydra, but again, he committed so much to the mutas.
Yeah, he's just still making more mutas, and that's not what you want in this situation.
Oh,
There's nothing mutas can do in this situation that Hydras can't. Like, it's just not a good. It's not a good composition.
yeah, like against traditional mech, like you can make mutas work, but like it's just XY is committing so much to the Thors. Like there's just so much anti-air. We'll see if he's able to find some angles, and so far he does. There are no Widowmines in place here, only a missile turret.
Yeah, the repairs are still good
Oh
once
God.
again, though, as they do surround that missile turret, and a couple more are going to be slapped down as the BCs come over to discourage. There's more BCs coming out, more mines, more Thors. This is the most diamond ladder Terran build I've ever seen.
This is the most anti-air army that's being produced right now, and once it's still going for the muta, he's going for +2.
Oh no, Wanted, please. Please no.
Like,
Any move.
yeah, like I will say, like you can make this work. I've seen it work. It's just
You just
so
need a lot of units and really good control.
yeah, and like really good positioning, and just you need everything to go your way. You need to be like Cyril, you know?
Yeah, you need to have the stupidest good control. You need to be able to like individually split your mutas against as many Thors. Like, I don't think even a magic box is gonna save you.
Yeah, we'll see what the Lings can get done though, because again, like the Lings, they're oh god, they're still 1-1. I thought at least 2-2 would have been done for the Lings, but they're still 1-1, and they can do relatively well against Thors, but in this high numbers, it may be too much for the Lings.
Yeah, he may not be able to get the surface area to get a good surround to get enough damage into the Thors if they're all grouped up enough with the tank supporting.
Yeah,
Ooh,
definitely.
That's a lot of Banes, Light. He's
That's
going
a
to go for a kill and something.
I mean, he could just right-click on the planetary and kill it with the Banes. Like, yes, there are all these Thors in position, Widowmines as well, BCs.
Yeah, this is definitely looking sketchy for Wanted. Ooh, a good surround. The Baneling's connecting with multiple Thors, but this is just not enough on the ground, and it's all gone. The whole army.
The entire Zerg army just evaporated. He's like, yo, all these Thors, I got this. He crashes all his Banelings, he kills like 2 Thors, and it's like, well...
Yep. I mean, like Raynor once said, it only takes 16 Banelings to kill an Archon, and it only takes like, what is it, like 20 Banelings? No, not even. 16 Banelings to kill a Thor.
Yeah, Thors are pretty good. They're pretty beefy. Meanwhile, he's pushing across the map, but there is a massive reinforcement of Lings here for Wanted. Can he hold on?
Well, there's still not a lot of Ling Bane here, as the mines are here to reinforce. Another round of Baneling's gonna try and go for the mines. Ooh, a nice catch on some of those mines. It's gonna be really good. Uh-oh. I just did a big lag fight.
Yeah, I did pause for a moment there, and it looks like there is just barely enough of Wanted of Zerg to hold.
Just holding it. I have 1,000 ping. I don't think this is definitely not good.
Oh boy.
I might have to leave.
We'll see. I mean, it isn't affecting. I'll let you know. Like, other than that small pause, like the game is running pretty smoothly.
Yeah, if we get if the players pause or say something about it, then I'm definitely just gonna hop out of
all good.
the lobby.
For
Since
sure.
I seem to be the big ping issue, but hopefully nothing else happens, because that was a really big spike, and I don't like that.
Yeah, definitely, especially if it happens in a big engagement, where like micro is necessary. So if that does happen, then you know we will adjust accordingly. And we'll see how things progress here, because we have the Ultralisk Cavern finishing up for Wanted, and I'm sure he's biting himself at the moment for delaying his +2 and +3 upgrades for so long for the melee.
Yeah, especially when Ling Bane is basically the only thing he's got here to deal with these Thors. Like, the best he can do is just surround the Thors and try and kill them with the Ling, but being so behind on upgrades, it's pretty tough. He does have the Cracklings in the way, but here's another push.
Yeah, here's another push. Again, not too much here from the Terran. Only 4 Thors, but with a couple of BCs, a couple of Widowmines, it looks like it's enough, and he may be able to take out this hatchery.
And it looks like the shelling from the Thors is relentless, and that base will go down as well as a few drones, as the Zerg army is trying to gather up and get ready for a push. Ooh, Thor getting caught out here. Miss rally.
Yeah.
Gonna get eaten up by Cracklings.
But the queens go down, and there just isn't enough wings and banes. Like, sure, he gets some decent surrounds, but there just isn't enough supply in general. Like, look at the difference.
Yeah, look at the supply light. It's not looking good.
Yeah, it looks like Wanted, he just threw away so much resources, so much gas in all those mutas early on, and they just did not pay for themselves. He needs to do something, and this is a nice start if he's able to kill the planetary, but this is a Thor. This repairs.
Yeah, this is a Thor. There's a bunch of SCVs here to repair, and Viper is the choice here. I don't think Blinding Clouds are gonna do enough against Thors.
Yeah, it feels like Wanted is kind of grasping at straws. Like he completely switched into Lingbane Ultra, which is okay, and he's going for Vipers for Blinding Clouds, which could work, but he just needs time, right? He needs a decent amount of Vipers. He needs to gather that energy, which also takes time, and we'll see what happens in the interim.
Yeah, but guess what else does well with Time Light?
Terran?
Terran Mech! Oh my god, those Yamatos.
Oh my god. The majority of the queens died earlier as well, so there's no energy for transfuse on these ultras. They're quite low. One of them's about to be sniped off as well. The Lynx, nice counterattack, picking off a tank here and there. Oh god, but Wanted, he desperately needs the space. Like, he lost the bottom right earlier and he hasn't retaken it.
Yeah, being down this much economy is not going to be good, especially in a comp like this where he's going for these Ruptors, these Vipers, these Ultralisks, all expensive units, and he just doesn't have the econ for it. He has half the economy of XY. Big engagement coming in here, though. Good tanks for good Blinding Clouds on the tanks. These Thors actually doing really well against the, these Ultralisks doing really well against the Thors. Pardon me. And they will clean up the Thors, but the siege tanks are going to be enough to push the Ultralisks back.
Exactly. The tank spread was just too good. There just weren't enough Blinding Clouds to cover everything, so there was enough mech to stop the army, to push it back. And with this, like, XY, his position is still like quite fortified here. He can just kind of rally and reinforce, and Wanted, he's only just now trying to expand. It looks like maybe he was earlier, but these Widow Mines were actually taking out the drones.
Yeah, it's not too good. Another counterattack with these Corruptors trying to pee on this planetary, but it's doing pretty good. Another engagement here from the Zerg. He's going to be able to clean up these tanks with Blinding Clouds, the Ultralisks, and maybe catch out more reinforcements, because these tanks are just rallied here with not much. But the rest of the army's here. It's still not enough to deal with anything for the Zerg, because he's so far behind.
Exactly. Like, there was a really nice opportunity where he was able to catch a bunch of tanks unsieged and kind of exposed, which was great, but there just isn't enough supply here to keep going. There's only a handful. There's only 2 Ultras, a handful of Banelings, pure Ling, and that's okay, but there's just nothing that... Yeah,
there's 4 BCs here, a handful of Hellbats to kind of help with the Ling Bane. The Lings are coming out of these tanks really nicely, but they will get cleaned up. The Thors, the Ultralisks are here, but once again, these tank shells are doing so much damage, and they will just get cleaned up, and there's nothing but Corruptors on this side of the map left for Zerg. And Wanted so desperately trying to cling on to this match because he knows he's going to be knocked out. But there it is, he finally calls GG. And